Proposal by the state of Colorado to ban landlords from using software to help them set rent prices failed. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today. Once again, it's coming out of the state of Colorado. So Colorado is looking at these software that landlords are using in order to set rent prices, and they're trying to ban landlords from being able to use that software. So the issue I have is that especially for small mom and pop landlords, this information is very useful. I personally have a very hard time keeping up with what the average rents are in the area, and especially for those landlords who are small like I am and self-manage their properties. A lot of the times they keep their rents far below market rates, not because they want to, because they don't know what the market rates are. Okay, so I used a software called Rentometer, and I still have a membership to this day to Rentometer, right? So even though I'm not self-managing anymore, because I use it to help me decide which properties to buy as well. So when I'm looking at a property, I know, okay, properties in this area are renting for this amount. This is the market rate going right now. So it's extremely useful information, extremely useful, especially when you're talking about larger apartment buildings and, single family homes in different neighborhoods. I mean, remember, the rents vary from neighborhood to neighborhood in cities, from parts of town to a different part of town. The size of the home is important. The school district is important. There's so many different factors involved. And for a lot of landlords, that is just too much information to just figure out willy-nilly on your own, because you could possibly be giving up hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars a year in lost rents. So yeah, I disagree 100% with them blocking this software. Now, they said, oh, well, landlords are using this information in order to, set prices. They're using the information to set prices and act as a cartel and, lock people out of lower cost rents, right? And that's garbage. It's 100% garbage. It's not true at all. We're using this information in order to make the best business decisions we possibly can. And you know what? Anyone with any actual information about running a landlord business would be able to tell you that this information is extremely useful for setting our rents. So yeah, I know that the real issue is they think the rents are too high, and they think this somehow is going to solve the problem. Oh, if we get rid of this software, then the landlords will keep the rents low. No, it's not going to happen. Okay, they will find other ways to figure out the information that they need to figure out, and it could just be a experimentation. Remember, when it comes to setting rents, a lot of it is experimentation. So sometimes you'll set the rent, like for me personally, I would set the rent higher than the market rate in some cases, right? And if I didn't get enough inquiries about it, I would slowly lower that amount down until I finally got somebody who was interested in paying the amount that I was asking. So that's another way that you can go about doing it, but it requires more time and more effort. And especially for larger apartment buildings, that's going to be pretty difficult to do. I'm a single family landlord. I've got single family rentals. That isn't very difficult to do when you might have one vacancy open out of all your houses. Okay. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. So here's a question for the landlords out there. Do you use any sort of software program to help you determine what rental rates you should be charging? Like I said, I use a Rentometer, and, it's a pretty popular one. I had originally read about it on Bigger Pockets like a long time ago, and it has helped me so much in order to set what rents I'm using inside my rentals, and to help me determine what properties I should be interested in buying and shouldn't be interested in buying. Because, like if the numbers don't work, like I've had so many properties I've looked at and I'm like, oh yeah, this property looks great. It's in great shape. It's in a good neighborhood. And then I look at how much the rents are, using that software, and determine that, for the, it would be, if I charged this amount, it would be in the highest percentile of rents in the entire area, in the entire couple of square miles, and so it wouldn't rent very quickly. It would be more difficult rentals. So yeah, it wouldn't necessarily be a good rental property after all. And if the numbers don't work, then I just can't buy that property. So anyway, let me get into this story. I'll let you know what they're doing out there in the state of Colorado. This article is coming from cprnews.org, and it says, ban on rent algorithms dies after Senate Democrats force a major change. Yeah, so the ban isn't going to go through yet, but I do imagine that they're going to push for something like this going into the future. They might modify it, create a new bill or whatever, right? They're really going after landlords using this sort of software right now. So anyway, let's get into it. Colorado landlords can continue to use controversial software products to share data with their competitors and determine rent prices. State House Democrats attempted to regulate these rent algorithms with a bill this year, but it failed on Wednesday amid stark disagreements between party members and lobbying from real estate technology companies. The original bill would have strictly limited landlords' ability to use products like RealPage, which critics argue amounts to collusion because the program allows landlords to exchange internal information and work together to set prices. And like I said, knowing how much your competitor is charging for rent, knowing how much the average rental rates are for the area, that doesn't mean necessarily that you can charge that much for your property. Every property is different. Every rental unit is different. Even two houses that are right next door to each other, one might rent for X and one might rent for Y because this one over here has an extra half bathroom. Okay? I mean, it's that simple, but you know what? They don't think of stuff like that. It does give you a good general idea. Your property manager, your landlord still has to be the one who overall says, okay, this is what we're charging for rent. And even then, if you're charging that much rent, if nobody wants to live there for that amount, it doesn't matter because you're going to have to lower that rent anyway. So yeah, you know what? The software can only be a suggestion at best. And not only that, right? If you think of it in terms of we are dealing with, okay, you have one landlord over here who has a 500 unit apartment complex. You have another landlord over here who has a 500 unit apartment complex, right? And so you have 1,000 units total, but you only have, let's say, 750 tenants to go into those 1,000 units. So there is a level of competition between these two different 500 unit apartment complexes. So why would they want to set the rents at the same price? If I owned the 500 unit over here, I'd be like, you know what? They're charging $1,000 a month over there. Well, I'm charging $975 over here, and then all 500 of my units are going to be full, while only 250 of their units are full. Okay, that's the way I see it, right? Like they act as though the landlords and the property managers, they are not competing with each other, and they we're just going to set our rents, and the customer is going to lose. No, I am going to fight to get that customer away from my competitor. Okay, that's what businesses do. There's no reason for us to be colluding on rental prices. It makes no sense whatsoever. But several Senate Democrats joined with Republicans to add an exception that would have allowed the companies to continue operating here with some adjustments. The House refused to accept that change, killing the bill. I don't think we'd have to fight about whether or not we could agree that collusion is bad, but that's a conversation I'm absolutely willing to continue, said State Senator Julie Gonzalez, a sponsor. The software platforms collect internal data from landlords throughout the metro area and then use those vast troves of information about vacancies, rent prices, and more to recommend rent prices. And at least one of the platforms, RealPage, allegedly puts pressure on landlords to comply with the prices determined by the software, according to a lawsuit filed by the District of Columbia. So they say that the software company puts pressure on landlords to set their prices at what they say. How? Is the software company going to come down here and shut my rental down? It's impossible. It's impossible. They're not putting pressure on anybody. That's a bunch of garbage, okay? I don't agree with this lawsuit that they filed up in D.C. It's stupid. The real issue, and this is what I've been saying, is that they want to impose rent control policies throughout the entire country. They want to keep rents artificially low, and they think that this is the solution by somehow, hurting landlords' ability to determine what the right rental price is. They're like, oh, well, this will keep the rents low. It won't. It won't. Like I asked this question in several different videos, right? Like, how will this help keep costs down for tenants? Okay? Will it increase the supply of rental properties? Will it decrease the demand for rentals? It will do neither. So simply put, it won't keep costs down. It will do nothing. Okay? And that's the new rule. Whenever I read a new law, that they are proposing, or a new thing that they're trying to do to help make housing more affordable for tenants, I'm going to ask that question, okay? Will this increase the supply of rental housing or decrease the demand for rental housing? And if it does neither one of them, I'm going to say it right here. This does nothing. This does absolutely nothing to help keep housing affordable. And the only thing it really is going to do is it's going to end up punishing good landlords, okay? How many times do I have to say that? When I read about stupid lawsuits like this, they want to hobble us. They want to hurt us. They want to, kick us in the knees. And for what? So that they can help a tenant who doesn't need cheaper rent, who can actually afford the higher rental prices, so that they can somehow force us to have lower market. Like they can't force the market to be different than what it really is. So they try to put artificial government price controls on stuff, right? And that has negative consequences unlike any they've ever seen. But you know what? This is more of the garbage that we're seeing now. So I'll keep you updated. I want to really know what happens with this lawsuit against this real page, right? Because I would hate to see landlords no longer being able to have access to the data that we need in order to set our rental rates.